Bruno Pontecorvo was an Italian-born physicist whose life story blends scientific brilliance, political enigma, and one of the Cold War's most debated defections. Born in Pisa in 1913, he emerged early as an exceptional talent and soon became one of the youngest and most gifted members of Enrico Fermi's legendary Panisperna Boys, the group that revolutionized nuclear physics in the 1930s. Forced into exile by Italy's racial laws as a Jew, he worked first in France and then in the United States and Canada, where he contributed to research on neutron detection and nuclear reactors, fields of immense strategic value during and after World War II. Although he was not directly part of the Manhattan Project, his proximity to sensitive programs and his deep understanding of nuclear processes inevitably placed him in a delicate position during the tightening climate of suspicion that accompanied the rise of the Cold War. Pontecorvo's political sympathies increasingly leaned toward left-wing ideals, and he maintained friendships within communist circles, even while employed in Western institutions, an unusual and risky stance in an era defined by espionage trials, atomic secrets, and ideological paranoia. By the late 1940s, Western intelligence agencies had begun to take notice of him, especially as several high-profile cases, such as those of Klaus Fuchs and the Rosenbergs, intensified fears that Soviet agents were infiltrating Western scientific networks. In 1950, amid growing pressure and perhaps sensing that he was under surveillance, Pontecorvo vanished without warning while vacationing in Italy with his family. His disappearance created international shock. A scientist of immense expertise in nuclear technology had simply evaporated. Rumors spread quickly. Some believed he had been kidnapped by Soviet operatives. Others argued he had voluntarily defected, bringing with him knowledge that could bolster the USSR's rapidly advancing atomic program. For 5 years, his fate remained unknown, transforming him into a symbol of Cold War secrecy and fueling speculation that the West had suffered another catastrophic betrayal. When Pontecorvo finally reappeared publicly in 1955, giving a press conference in Moscow, his defection was confirmed. He insisted he had never transmitted classified information, claiming ideological reasons for his move, and emphasizing his desire to work in peace. Nevertheless, the timing of his departure, just after the Soviet Union successfully tested its first atomic bomb, and the strategic importance of his research made Western governments deeply skeptical. To many, especially in Britain and the United States, he seemed another brilliant scientist who had chosen to turn his back on the West at a crucial moment, strengthening a rival superpower during the fiercest phase of geopolitical competition. In the Soviet Union, Pontecorvo continued an illustrious scientific career, becoming a leading figure in neutrino physics and proposing theories that would later prove essential to understanding neutrino oscillations. He received honors, lived comfortably, and remained in the USSR until his death, though he was never permitted to return to Italy. Despite his achievements, his reputation remained overshadowed by the mystery and controversy surrounding his defection. Historians still debate whether he knowingly passed on sensitive information, whether he fled to escape McCarthy-era persecution, or whether he had long been sympathetic to communism and considered the Soviet Union the true home for his scientific ideals. What is certain is that his sudden departure struck at a moment when trust was fragile and atomic knowledge equated to global power, making his defection appear as a profound ideological and strategic blow to the West. His story, a complex intertwining of genius, conviction, secrecy, and suspicion, remains one of the Cold War's most enduring enigmas, embodying the tension between scientific freedom and political allegiance at a time when even the brightest minds were caught in the storm of global rivalry.